Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastuma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The question here is, wise person has no need for freedom. We said a wise person has no need for free will, understand. Not no need for freedom, but freedom from the need for free will. In fact, free will is for us to choose what to do, what not to do. And that arises from a certain need from our part, that I must make the right choice. By making a right choice, I stand to gain something. By making a wrong choice, I stand to lose something. So as long as there is this gain and loss, I feel that I become bigger or greater or happier by gaining something, or I become lesser than what I am by losing something. As long as the gain and loss of something makes me bigger and smaller than what I am, so long I am incomplete. So that is called completeness, which is not subject to increase or decrease. Like an ocean, you add some water, it's still full. Take away some water, it's still full. Infinity, you add a number, still infinity. Subtract a number, still infinity. So this is our nature, is fullness is our nature. So wise person is the one who has owned up this. He sees himself as full and complete as he is. Meaning that the body remains incomplete, the mind remains incomplete. His personality remains incomplete, but then he is complete by his true nature. Meaning that there is nothing that can add into him, nothing that can take away from him. And therefore the need for choosing, making a choice to make sure that I gain and I do not lose, that kind of a consideration is no more. Therefore, he doesn't have to make any choice so that he will benefit, or a choice so that he will not lose. In that sense now, he is free from having the need for making the choice to avoid loss or to accomplish a gain. That's the purpose of free will. And therefore everything is okay for him. If what is normally called a gain, if it is there, he is okay because he is not dependent upon that. What is normally called the loss also is okay because it does not take anything away from him. Sunda karmana vardate no kaniyan, says Upanishad. Na karmana vardate. By punya karma, by virtuous deed, he doesn't become bigger than what he is. No kaniyan, by some other action, doesn't become less than what he is. That is called fullness. That's our nature. Then everything is in order, then everything is fullness. For this wise person, Purnameva avashishyate. What is this Purnam? What is this fullness? So there is no preference now left. No need to choose left. One. And secondly also, other way of saying is, that we make a choice to make sure that our action is in keeping with dharma, righteousness, or that my action does not violate dharma. That's what I have to make sure. Because it's likely that my choice may be influenced by some greed, some anger, some jealousy, some impulse may influence my choice, in which case I am likely to violate the order. So when a person has not yet attained the fullness, and therefore is not totally in harmony with what is the order, then I have to make sure that I am in harmony with the order and that I do not violate the order. But if you are spontaneously in harmony with the order, then what you do is spontaneously right. So we said wise person is a spontaneous person, meaning he is spontaneously right. So no need to choose to be right, because without a choice also he is right. So we choose our free will to do a right action, avoid a wrong action, but then he spontaneously does what is right. And anybody will do what is right when there is no self-centeredness, when there is no personal agenda. It is a personal agenda which can influence me to do things in a way so that my agenda is fulfilled, or avoid something so that my agenda is not harmed. So when there is an agenda, you know what is meant by agenda is that when there is a need on my part, when I want a specific outcome, then I am not free to choose. Then the outcome decides what I choose. No agenda, then every outcome is fine. Then why should I violate? Nobody wants to violate the order. A person finds himself violating the order because of the agenda. When it is dictated by agenda or by the attachment to the outcome, that is when the order is violated. That's when dharma is violated. No agenda. So prasada buddhi is spontaneous. For us, prasada buddhi is to make sure that I have the right attitude and stuff like that. Because I could have a wrong attitude. But spontaneity means the right attitude. It is by practicing the right attitude for a long time that becomes spontaneous, understand? And therefore, the freedom to make a choice, the freedom from the need for a free will. You understand, free will is an expression of bondage, by the way. But it is required for us to become free from bondage. The free will is properly utilized, it becomes a means of freeing from the bondage. Free will is abused, it becomes only a means of heightening the bondage. So this is what we meant by the wise person being free. So that the freedom from the need to use a free will is one way of describing freedom. Free is not taken away from him. No, it doesn't go away. He doesn't need to use the free will. So now he doesn't have a free will. No, he will not. He has no choice. King Janaka will not do something to violate dharma. But if King Janaka has to make an effort to see that dharma is not violated, he is still bound. If King Janaka spontaneously does something which is in keeping dharma, then only is free. So free will is not taken away. Free will has served its purpose, understand? A means, when it serves a purpose, Sadhanam is no more necessary. So free will is a means or sadhanam given to us to become free. Having fulfilled that purpose, the sadhanam is no more necessary. In that sense, he doesn't have free will, right? Not that he has lost it. His purpose is served, so he doesn't need it.
Swamiji, you are saying free will is meant for getting rid of free will?
Yes. The karma is meant for getting rid of karma. The river is running towards the ocean to become free from the need to run. So many questions. In chapter 13, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Then also mentions Prakriti and Purusha. Are both the same? They are the same. What is Kshetra is Prakriti and Kshetrajna is Purusha. So both of them, they are same means the verbal meaning is not the same, but the intended meaning is the same. If you analyze what Prakriti is, it turns out with Drishyam. It is inert. Drishyam is an object. Kshetra. If you analyze what the Purusha is consciousness. Illumines, therefore the Kshetrajna, the knower. Even though the word Lord Krishna used the word Kshetrajna, which literally means Kshetram Janaditi Kshetrajna, who knows the Kshetra is a knower of the field. But really, knower also is not his nature. The self is called knower tentatively, only to exclude what is known. So right now, since in what I call I include what is not I, the body which is really known or object of knowledge also is included in I by me. Therefore I am told, hey, you are the knower, not known. So body is the known, Kshetrajna, Kshetram. By body is meant the gross body and the subtle body, both are Kshetra. So they are called the known. To distinguish the self from them, the self is tentatively called the knower. But ultimately it is upadrashta, anumanta cha. Ultimately the nature of self is revealed by Lord Krishna as upadrashta, anumanta. Whatever word you use is going to convey some concept. Whereas the idea is that no concept will describe the self. So many words are Anumanta, Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. When you add up all of this, still it will not amount to self, but it will be close. So you use so many words, each word creates a concept, and then to clear that you use another word which creates a little subtler concept. But every word will create some concept anyway. So ultimately Vedantins, what will they say? It is not the Vachyartha, it is Lakshyartha. It is not the literal meaning, it is the implied meaning. Meaning the word has to go away. The Vachyartha has to go away. So there was no word. A witness, knower, no word will satisfy or describe the self. They lead us to the knowledge of the self. So only the implied meaning or the Lakshyartha will help us. So even if you call him knower, the knower also has a role. Knower is always reference to something that is known. And so there is also a relative description. But here you want to become free from relative things, So therefore, knower, witness, all these words also have to be dropped. The content of the knower, that's the consciousness. The content of the witness, consciousness. So Sankhyas use the word Purusha and Prakriti. Except that they say that Prakriti is different from Purusha, the matter is different from consciousness. So Vedantin says no. Prakriti is Kshetram, is the known which is not different from a knower. So Vedantin's equation is, you first talk about the self and the non-self to distinguish the self from the non-self. But when you distinguish self from the non-self, then still two entities remain, isn't it? The self different from non-self, isn't it? There are two. Is it not so? Is it not? The self is different from non-self. Is it not duality? So he doesn't, so it looks like a trap, No, doesn't answer the question. Doesn't have to be. The self is different from non-self, but non-self is not different from self. That's the equation. In case of an actor playing the role of a beggar, actor is different from beggar. But is beggar different from actor? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. So, even though there are two words used there, beggar and actor, in fact, how many entities are there? How many cups of tea do you need? One for actor, other for the beggar? Two cups of tea? Or one cup of tea will satisfy? That's why there is only one. In the beginning we say is actor, to distinguish him from the role that he's playing. But ultimately the role also, that idea of role also has to go. So that's how. But Lord Krishna uses the words Kshetra and Kshetrajna and Prakriti and Purusha in the same sense. In the Vedantic sense, not in the sense that Sankhya's use, where Prakriti is different from Purusha. Here Prakriti is not different from Purusha. Purusha is different from Prakriti. Prakriti is not different from Purusha. B is equal to A, but A is not equal to B. Have you heard that equation? Have you heard? Okay, good. How different are para and apara prakriti? Same thing. So again the kshetra and kshetrajna, the prakriti and purusha, and apara prakriti. In the 7th chapter, Lord Krishna uses the words apara prakriti and para prakriti. Apara, the lower, inferior. Para, the superior. Meaning, prakriti being inert is inferior, and Purusha being consciousness is superior. So that's how for Kshetrajna, Lord Krishna uses the word para prakriti, for Kshetra, apara prakriti. Also, how different is Jiva and Ishvara? What's the difference Jiva and Ishvara? It's like one actor. He assumes he puts on the costume of a beggar, acts as a beggar. Same person then puts on the costume of a king and acts as a king. So what's the difference between the king and the beggar? No difference? So why do you use two different words then? If king and beggar, when you use the word king, it creates one idea in your mind, isn't it? Use the word beggar creates a different idea, is it not so? How can they be same? How can they be same? So now, when you think of the idea of king and idea of beggar are different from each other. But there is something in the idea of king. So when you think of king, the idea of actor also is involved in it, because the king cannot be separate from actor. You follow? Similarly, in the idea of beggar also, idea of king is involved or not. So even though part of it is not the same, part of it is the same. The actor part in the king, the actor part in the beggar are the same, are they not? Another example, here is a bangle and here is an earring, right? So earring is different from bangle. They are two different things, are they not? They are not? Then why do you call it earring? Why do you call it bangle? Why do you use different names? Wow, this example they know. Now coming back, so it's a familiar example. So now when you think of earring, there is one earring thought in your mind. In the thought of earring, is the thought of gold involved or not? Can you think of earring without gold? Can you think of bangle without gold? So whereas earring part and bangle part are different from each other, the gold part is. Now second thing you should know, that earring part is mithya and gold part is. Bangle part is mithya, gold part is satyam. So they differ in the mithya aspect. They are identical in the satyam, which matters, which is the swarupa. So also jiva is same Brahman with the cosmic costume of Maya or cosmos. Ishvara is Brahman with the Maya costume of Maya or cosmic costume, and jiva is same Brahman with the costume of ignorance. Costumes are different, so names are different. And if we do not recognize the actor in the costume, then to us the two persons are different, as long as we don't recognize. If you don't recognize the actor, then we think that this is one person called, king, other person is beggar. Only when you recognize the actor, then you know that both are the roles played by the same person. So jiva also is a role. Ishvara also is a role played by Brahman or consciousness. In that sense they are identical. Not in every sense they are identical. Only in the sense of the essential nature they are identical. Ishvara is creator, sustainer. When you say I am Brahman, doesn't mean you can create the world. Can you? Dream is there, or you don't create really. Do you create dream world? Huh? No? Now who creates? Somebody else comes and creates the dream world? Who creates the dream world? Whose mind? Then, and mind doesn't create without you the consciousness, understand? So you create the dream world, is it not so? It's not your dream? So do you create the dream world or not? Yes or no? You're not clear, you still don't want to commit? I don't know, they seem so hesitant, They think that I'm just putting some, But yeah, it's true. Do you create the dream or not? Hmm? Pardon me? Conscious, I'm talking about our dream, So, when I say that when you know that you are Brahman, my question was that can you create the universe? We also create. We create dream. Isn't it? So Ishvara of dream. Is that right? Right or not? Hmm? Huh? Doesn't matter what it is. Guna is, but then you use the gunas to create the dream, is it not so? The question is very simple. Just as Ishvara creates this universe, you create the dream, is it not so? So you are the Ishvara of dream, are you not? Are you making commitment or not? You are just looking at me. They are non-committal, you know. These fellows are very clever, you know. I think that Acharya has really trained them. Huh? Lokia, but they will not reply. They don't say anything. You cannot be called Ishvara of dream. You cannot say you create the dream. Dream gets created. You don't have control over the dream. If you had control the dream, nobody will create the dream, will cause misery. In dream also we suffer, do we not? What kind of dream is it? What kind of dream have you created? Where you are crying and weeping, that's what they say. Ruditiva. Vichadayadi. Somebody is chasing him, some elephant chase you. Chase in dream. Ruditi sometimes. Krantiva. Sometimes somebody kills you. They are all experiences in dream. Who will create that kind of a dream? If you had the choice, would you create a dream where you are killed? So do you create dream or not? Mind creates. Whose mind is it? Maya also Ishvara's mind only. Ishvara also creates with his mind called Maya. But Ishvara is the master of Maya. He creates as he likes. We are not master of our mind. The mind creates what it likes. And therefore, I cannot be called the creator because I don't have free will to create. When can you be called creator? When the free will to create. When can you call an actor? The free will to act. Ishvara is creator because the free will to create. Jiva is not the creator, poor fellow. The dream happens. It's an example, all right. That in the dream also, I alone am and stuff like that is fine. As an example of the illustration of what is mithya, and so dream is a very good illustration, but not illustration of your creation, theoretically, really speaking, because you don't have free will to create.
Can I create a dream?
You cannot.
Decide to think about something, I can decide to
There is no more daydream. No, imagination also takes place. Unless you imagine yourself, then you are creating, then you are planning. Creation is when you have the free will. Ishvara always under control of everything that he does. Not that things happen, then he can't be Ishvara. Isn't it? If things happen, like in India things happen, you don't know, anybody controls and rules, nothing. This poor governor of Reserve Bank was crying today. When he finds one scam after the other, they're losing 1.6 crores every minute, these banks. Something like that. Some ridiculous number. It's the most miserable system that we have. But anyway, so they're discovering how miserable it is. Not system. Who is miserable? Is system miserable? Who is miserable? Yes. And who are the people? Taxpayer. You and I. What do you mean taxpayer? We are the people. Who is miserable? We are miserable. We make up the people. And they are also on their side. Bank also is there and this fellow also, Both are same people. Anyway, doesn't matter. So, Hmm. See, free will is limited because the intellect which has free will, the intellect is limited. Intellect has power to know, but the power is extremely limited. So free will depends upon your knowledge. You make choice based on your knowledge. Since your knowledge is limited, so the choice that you make can't be certain. If you are omniscient, if you are all knowing, then you always make the right choice. But since our knowledge is very limited, we cannot be sure whether the choice that we have made is right or wrong. You follow? So free will is limited in that sense, that is based on very limited knowledge. Otherwise nobody will fail. If I make the right choice all the time, there will be no failure. Everybody will be wealthy. No schema is necessary. But where will you get the wealth anyway? If everybody wants to be wealthy, where will you get it from? Because there is limited supply available. Anyway, so we don't have to worry about the economic aspects. But because nobody will ask me anyway. They are not going to ask me. Even if you suggest some kind of economic path, they are not going to ask you, what do you know? And we don't know what they know anyway. So what they have in mind is different from what we have in mind. Sri Adi Shankaracharya established 4 Shankara Mats in 4 directions, including one at Sringeri. Right? Sri Adi Shankaracharya established 4 mats. Which are the 4 mats? Sringeri, alright. It depends on where you are coming from. That's the first mat. If you come from Gujarat, that is in Dwarika. Come from Puri, Badrinath, Joshimat, and Sringeri. Then there is a 5th matha called in the Kanchi, who established the Kanchipuram Shankara Mat. What is the need for an additional one in the south when already there is one in Sringeri? So this is a good question. Who says there are 4 mats, first of all? There are people who believe there are only 4 mats. If they write the history, then what will they write? The one who writes the history decides what is what, isn't it? So there is a history in which it is written that there are 4 mats Shankaracharya established. So that is written by somebody from Sringeri, by the way. For whatever reason, which may be political or otherwise, they only say there are only 4 mats and not 5. So what is the reason for them why say 4 mats? I do not know. Shankaracharya had only 4 disciples. Why? Because Lord Dakshinamurti had 4 disciples. Which were the 4 disciples? Sanat Kumaras. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara. If Shankaracharya is the incarnation of Dakshinamurti, he should also have 4 disciples only. Is it not so? So if we build one matha for one disciple, how many matha will be there? So in India we always like to match things, 4. So that is how. So Kanchipuram says that you are right. Shankaracharya built 4 mathas, one for each disciple. Built 5th one for himself, Indians are no good in history. All these are called, the so-called history about Shankaracharya is no different from Purana. You know what's a Purana? All the stories in Bhagavatam and many Puranas are there. So was it a Prahlada and Nrsimha? Was the incarnation called Matsya? I guess so, I don't know. But then, So when was it? Which was first? It was second. So the life of Shankaracharya is like Purana, if you read that. Where Shankaracharya is adored like God, which he was, but then that's his description is like that. And therefore, it is not a historical text. Not that we care for history. But the thing is that Indians don't care for history, looks like, So Vedas are not historical. Hinduism is not historical. That's why they ridicule Hinduism. Ours is historical. Christ is historical. Muhammad is historical. This is historical. Moses is historical. Taken place in time, Can you say what, the rishis? No. So whether it is an advantage or disadvantage, they think that we think it's an advantage, that there is, that there is no time frame. Anyway, so what was the need for the fifth? Depends on who you ask. How many mathas are there? Depends on who you ask. You follow? In India also, which party you ask? Is India making progress? Depends on who you ask. Always. Achhe din means what? Good days. Have they come or not? Depends on who you ask. Depends on how you describe them. What's the definition of good times? Well, somebody says that you are sitting here without problem is good time. Which you could not do it in Syria or some place like that, or Afghanistan. So we are in good times. So anyway, as I said, there is no history and therefore there is no way of saying what was and why was it there. You follow? So what was the need for a fifth mat? But why four? I mean, it depends on how many corners. So there are four corners, Therefore 4 mathas. 4 Vedas, 4 corners, 4 disciples. So that's what it is. 4 Vedas also. Because east is connected with the Rig Veda, south with the Yajur Veda, west with the Sam Veda, and north with Atharva Veda. So then apparently Acharya had 4 disciples, each representing one Veda. That also is interesting. And but it fits very well, and I like to believe. I am a devotee of Shankaracharya and everything that is about him. So there's no question about. But as I said, historically speaking, we do not. I don't care personally. I'm willing to accept 5 mathas myself. All of them are very reverential, great people. So I don't insist upon 4 mathas personally. Because there is no agenda. We don't have to prove anything. And we accept in same reverence, the Acharyas of Kanchi also have been equally great people.
What comes to my mind is regarding this matter. Mathas are only one according to me. But Kanchi, what I have heard is Shankaracharya himself came to Kamakshi temple. That is there. What I hear. There is mathas only 4. Now it comes to my mind. Mathas can be taken as 4 only, according to me. But what I heard is Shankaracharya apparently came there, and the Ugratum of the Kamakshi was reduced by Shankaracharya, and he merged with Kamakshi. That is what I heard. It can be like that. So mathas only.
But Shankaracharya merged with Kamakshi, maybe. But then you also hear that Shankaracharya went to Kedarnath and left. That's a more popular view, That Shankaracharya went to Kedarnath and then that's what sadhus do. So there's a huge statue of Shankaracharya. There used to be in Kedarnath before that storm. So the popular view is that Shankaracharya declared that his life work is over and that he is departing. So apparently there is no matha for him. But that's a history written by whatever, They say that Shankaracharya built the 5th matha for himself and he was given samadhi there. You follow? That's what the Acharya of Sringeri says. Kanchi says. The senior Acharya used to say that. So, we respect everybody. So when you go there, 5 mathas, go here 4 mathas, You follow who you are talking to, that's all. To me, it doesn't matter how many mathas are there, all great. We are glad that we have these mathas and all these great traditions are there. Great acharyas. There would have been 10, they would have been even better. Yeah. Because India is a very vast country. How one acharya, where can he go around? It's a huge country. Particularly if you want to travel by foot, that's as they used to do.
Isn't it more important that we follow his teachings and bhashya and not get hung up on how many mathas and who was the acharya there, all of that? Not stick to that?
That's a Vedantic view. But this is Bhakta's view. Okay, so next question. In Vishnu Sahasranama Stotra, most namas or names are in masculine gender. There are a few in Napumsakalinga, meaning the neuter gender. And Strilinga as well. Strilinga also is there in Vishnu Sahasranama? Huh? Yeah. So, there is also word Lakshmi, so that's true. Sumedha, no. Sumedha is masculine. Sumedha it is actually, not Sumedha. Sumedhas. Lakshmi, yeah, that's right. So, there's one name at least that we can recall that's in feminine. Stuti, Swasti, I guess, yeah. Swasti also is feminine name. Stuti also. So, yes, there are names in feminine, there are a few names in neuter, and most names in masculine. Easily given here, why am I asking you? In neuter, Aushadam, Pramanam, Tattvam, Narsimha, Vapuhu, Pavitram, Mangalam, Param. Sriling, Lakshmi, Stuti. I should have, it's already there. I lost my prestige unnecessarily, that I couldn't. I'm supposed to be all knowing, and then I could not say this. Lakshmi, Stuti, Nidhi. Nidhi is not feminine. Nidhi is masculine. Sumedha is also not right. Sumedhaha, that's also masculine. Siddhi, Vishva Yonihi. Yonihi is neuter. Siddhi is Siddhi is alright. Attend Lakshmi, right? This is your question? That is why he could say Lakshmi. He has written this. Of that, Sumedha is masculine. Vishva Yoni. Yoni also is become masculine. Masculine. Vishva Yoni. Yeah. Vishwasya, naturally. Vishwasya Yoni. So then what's the question? Why so? Why not so? Because it represents everything. If it represents, then we would be in trouble. If they are all masculine names, we would be in trouble, Particularly in this 21st century with women empowerment and everything else, and now with all genders accepted, it should be in all genders. So it's only proper that they had the right, justice those days also. Why is Advaita? Why it could not become popular as the other forms of worship rituals the masses follow? How come Advaita, it did not become popular like other rituals? But they are all Advaita only. Why do you think rituals are not Advaita? It's a means and end. So duality becomes a means for reaching non-duality, for transcending duality. You remember the pole vault. Remember the example? The pole vault? Pole vault. Alright. No, yeah, that's not pole, it's pole, P-O-L-E. P-O-L-E, pole. Not pure double L, pole or something, it's pole. So there, you use the pole to transcend the pole. Is it not so? It's called transcending. Right? You follow the meaning of transcending. Use the pole to transcend the pole. So use duality to transcend that duality. So now in that high jump, pole also is part of the jumping process. Is not, could you have jumped without that? So for Advaita also is a part of the process only. You cannot reach Advaita without Dvaita. Provided you use or relate to Dvaita appropriately. If you relate inappropriately, you are sunk. Relate appropriately, you rise. So we do not see opposition or contradiction between Advaita and Dvaita. Dvaita is friend of Advaita if it is properly related to. So that's why Lord Krishna starts with, everybody has to start with Dvaita. We start from where we are. So where we are born with taking ourselves as a limited being, taking the world as real, and so duality as real. So we start from there. So then how to function in this world of duality? With what attitudes? So that one day we are able to grow out of duality. It's not rejecting duality. It is growing out of duality. You reject, it remains. Understand? If you reject something, it remains there to attack you, or to attach to you, or stick to you. You cannot, there is no rejection. In Vedanta, no rejection of any kind. Vedanta is opposed to nothing. If Vedanta is opposed to something, there is a problem with Vedanta, really. Advaita can't be opposed to Dvaita. Is Advaita in spite of Dvaita. So Advaita is no problem with Dvaita. No problem with anything in Dvaita also, with all worship and everything is all fine. They would not be there if they were not required. So it's not a matter of popularity. The duality, all the rituals etc. in duality are not for remaining in duality. Those acharyas, the teachers who have prescribed all these forms of worship, it is not for perpetuating the duality, it is for growing out of duality. With the right attitude, you follow? So there is no question of popularity. Advaita is not a form of worship. But we do not think that Dvaita, the worship, are not Advaita. They are means of Advaita. So they are all part of Karma Yoga. So all the rituals and everything that we do is all part of Karma Yoga. And if you meditate, it's called Upasana, which are all leading to Advaita or non-duality. So the end cannot be opposed to the means. And includes the means. So Advaita is the end. There's a means. They cannot be opposed. They can fight. If this Advaita fights with Dvaita, is okay, you remain where you are, but you use the boat to cross the river. The other bank is thankful for the boat. The other bank rejects the boat, you will never reach the other bank. Is it not so? So the right approach is to reconcile with everything, find place for everything. All that the great teachers have taught us has a reason for that. And therefore, everything has its own place. It is true that when you climb the second step, now first is not necessary. Climb the third step, second is not necessary. That doesn't mean you don't need the first step. Or second one says, hey, why are you there? If second step says to first step, why are you there? Would there be a second step? That would be the first step. And you can't climb. So Advaita doesn't become popular like that. But otherwise, you don't measure the beauty of something by popularity, do you? I don't think that the most classical music is most popular and those big great artists are popular. We don't understand what they do. But they get millions of dollars, when they sell. I don't know, what is it? Classical music I doze off, that doesn't mean that is, not valuable. And everything is its own place. For those who appreciate that. That doesn't mean other music has no place. Also has a place. For those who have not yet grown to the point of appreciating that, for them also we should have something. There is something for everybody. In the cafeteria, all kinds of choices are there, isn't it? Buffet. Not just one dish, only khichdi. After studying Advaita in depth, it seems that all end in mind only. After in depth, the conclusion is that all end. So that's the premise with the question is asked, So after studying Advaita in depth, it seems that all end in mind only. Since Brahman can't be seen, perceived, realized, for going beyond mind again to depend on mind only. When you use these words, of seen, perceived, realized, certainly you cannot. You can see something that you objectify. You perceive something that you objectify. Realize something that you objectify. Can you objectify yourself? No? Can you objectify yourself? Can you be subject and object simultaneously? Can you lift yourself by your bootstrap? They say, can you ride on your own shoulders? Can you? No? So what it means that you stop that effort, that's all. That's all Vedanta says. All the business of beyond mind, this mind, that mind, is also it becomes so not confusing, but it becomes so flabbergasting and so intimidating. Or beyond mind, then so we get so intimidated with it. Simple thing is, it is you, So then why do you start with mind? It says, while studying in Advaita, everything ends in mind. Why is not everything should end in self? Why should everything end in mind? Why should it end? It begins with self. So I guess we have to learn to look at things a little differently. What is the difference between an ashram and a mutt? Well, usually matha, this is M-U-T-T, that's their spelling. The spelling M-A-T-H-A. It's called matha, not mat or mata or something. So anyway, people pronounce it differently. The word is matha in Sanskrit. So matha is a seat that particular, and then subsequently many other mathas also. And there was a question: are there other mathas? There are many. Then many other Shankaracharyas came. Right now there are 130. How many are there? Right now there are a number of Shankaracharyas who claim to be Shankaracharyas. So then there is a problem. Where is the original? What is it? What's it? But there are many people, so there is some different name for them. What do they call them? No, not Mahamandaleshwar. So, but then this the junior Shankaracharya, this so whatever. Ashram and Math are basically similar things, but then the word Matha is used for Shankara Matha, etc., as a seat for propagating dharma. Then ashram also basically is meant as a place for contemplation. So Matha is a place for propagating dharma. Ashram is a place for contemplation, learning, contemplation. That doesn't mean there is no learning in Matha, but the Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, created the Matha and installed his disciples for the express purpose of spreading the dharma to the masses. Because he saw the urgent need of doing that. People were all totally confused and distracted from the real dharma. So to teach them and establish in the dharma was considered most important at that time, at any time also. So ours can be called an ashram here. But there are many other mathas, or the seats are there of other, the subsequent sampradayas came, other traditions also came, and every tradition is its own matha also. Alright, so I guess we have not completed our test paper here. We are still. I'll take this last question and then the remaining we'll continue with tomorrow. Is Maya and Mithya, are there Maya and Mithya are there within the creation of Ishvara? When Ishvara himself is manifesting himself in the universe, how this could happen? No, she is looking at me to understand the question. I am also trying to understand. Is Maya and Mithya are there within the creation of Ishvara? The question is, how can you call this Jagat Mithya? I think the main question is, when Ishvara has manifested himself as his universe, how can you call it Mithya? Is that the question? If Ishvara himself has manifest as a universe, how can you call it Mithya? That means you are calling Ishvara the Mithya, is it not so? Is it not so? Universe is manifestation of Ishvara. If universe is Mithya, that means Ishvara is Mithya, is it not so? No. Now the non-committal, the politically correct answer she is giving, That's called politically correct thing, so you don't get trapped, but you don't make a commitment. No, not logically, politically correct. Logically may or may not be correct, politically correct. So you can't be trapped. No, Ishvara is manifest as his universe. Correct? So then we say universe is Mithya. It is like saying that the actor, again I come back to that example, who is a multimillionaire, is a billionaire. He chooses to put on the costume of a beggar and act as a beggar. So the actor is manifest as beggar. You understand this? The actor by putting on a name and form costume, is manifest as beggar. Right? Just as Ishvara is manifest as a universe, the actor is manifest as beggar. Is beggar real or mithya? Beggar is mithya. Then only actor can be satyam, isn't it? So appearance part, mithya means what is an appearance and not a reality, that's all. So the universe, all duality and all that is mithya, means an appearance, and it does not deny non-duality of Ishvara. If the duality of the universe denied or negated the non-duality of Ishvara, then duality will be real. But in spite of the duality that we perceive in the universe, Ishvara remains non-dual. In spite of the beggar that we perceive on the stage, the actor remains the same wealthy person, isn't it? So it's not contradictory that Ishvara is manifest and that Jagat is mithya, is in fact makes Ishvara satya. Why concealing himself in our ignorance and avidya? This is a problem, So if Ishvara is manifest, why doesn't he show up himself? Why does he show up himself as universe, as duality and all these things? And then, if we are manifest Ishvara, then why are we manifest through ignorance? So why is there ignorance? That's the question. Question is, why has Ishvara covered himself in the veil of ignorance? Why does he do that? Why doesn't it appear as he is? Isn't it? That would be nice, isn't it? If Ishvara manifests as he is, how nice would it be? But there will be no manifestation, understand? To manifest, Ishvara needs a medium, that's called ignorance or Maya, to manifest. So Ishvara manifests so that he can become object of our experience. And then someday we can inquire, who is this? What is this universe? Who is the creator? But there is no answer to the question, why ignorance? It's there. So what is there is explained. What we experience is explained by a model called ignorance. It's a model to explain as best as we can what we are experiencing, so that we can find a way out of this. That's why the explanation is needed. So we'll conclude here. We'll continue with this tomorrow. And so our Neeraj wanted to sing. Tomorrow? All right. He's very kind always. So